Welcome to our humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. Well, the journey continues today. It is April 1st, 2021 at roughly 1:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We've talked about success a lot and seeing how things work. Well, here's the reality behind it from my end. Okay, if you've been watching the videos, you've seen a whole pile of change going on. Well, the shelves now are sitting where they will be for the foreseeable future, because the metal shelf there at the back, there's a plug-in down near the bottom that I've stopped the shelf at that point so I don't cover the plug. This other shelf here will slide forward a little if I've got the room once I get the wall-to-wall desk in. And then this little table here will eventually be removed. Okay, it will be replaced with a table on wheels, but that's for down the road a bit. Okay, these are just things, as I said, figure out what you're not content with. That's the key to being successful. Okay, figure out what you're not content with. Start getting rid of those things. Okay, those things, those thought processes, but you're the only one that can be successful. So the reality is, talk to the people around you. Talk to people that have done it successfully. Okay, if you desire to become a millionaire, I'm the last person to talk to. Okay, I am, however, now at a point where I've stopped the downward slide. Okay, I used to be up to my eyeballs in debt. Not as bad as some of you, but bad enough for me. This time, I've managed to get the replacement stuff. I've completely paid for a rebuild to my office. It's getting a new computer system. It's got new desks coming in, new chairs, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so it's being completely rebuilt, and I've paid off everything, so I'm happy on that end. Now we start seeing it move forward. So where do we go from here? Okay. Again, we're just going to run real quick over the basics. Over on that wall, I have a sign that says, I am worth it. The four most powerful words that I've come across this lifetime for helping rebuild your own sense of self-esteem. Okay, regardless of what you've been through, however you got to where you are, you can't do anything about it. You are where you are, so now is the time to start moving forward. Okay, up here, as I said yesterday, I was going to change the sign. It now says we have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by April 30th, 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. Okay, below that on the same sheet, because I run a home-based business as well, which would be Inner Voice Enterprises, I have written on the same sheet, just on a second line underneath it, Inner Voice Enterprises has legally generated a minimum of $200 by April 30th, 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. Now, that $2,000 is what it costs me personally to run my household, my office, the whole 9 yards. For you, if you're running in your own household, figure out what it costs you to pay your rent, utilities, your insurance, any regular bills. Okay, all of it gets included. Do not forget the money for food. Okay, do the same thing with your business. Okay, if your business is at home, then check with your tax consultant as far as what kind of percentages. I was talking to mine told me to run 10%. So that's what I calculate. Well, 10% of 2,000 is 200. Talk to your tax accountant to determine what kind of percentage you're dealing with. If you run a business that has a building of its own, you take that amount of overhead that covers your rent, your mortgage, your lease, whatever it is, your stock, all of it gets included, okay, as expenses. Make sure that you look at that bottom line price. That's the number you put in. Okay. Now, once you do that, then you sit down and you grab this funny little pad that I've got. Well, not this one, but grab one of your own. Whether you use a sheet of paper or whether you use a computer is entirely up to you. Okay. The important factor here is get yourself a list together of the things that you feel have to be dealt with. Okay. And this is a question of, I recommend, and it was recommended to me, put 3 things on a list. Make sure those items are only 15 minutes to half an hour in length. Okay. Now I've talked about this before, but once you get those 3 on the list, start working on them. And where do you start? Right wherever you're sitting. Okay, that's where you start. You mark them down. When you get one checked off, check it off, write a 3rd one down. Do not forget to include such neat things like lunch and supper. And of course, there is that fine little thing that most people tend to overlook called sleep. Kind of necessary. Okay, from there, now, I don't know if you've noticed it. For me, I feel a lot more energetic right now. I finished paying my bills off. The money that was supposed to come in from unfortunately, my mother's estate has all come in, which means I've got everything. Kind of odd for April Fool's Day, but I really do. All the money has come in. I paid all the money going out that has to. So from here on out, I just pay attention and I don't spend money unless it has literally come in. Now, next time I get money coming in is who knows when. I do know I get paid at the middle of the month and the end of the month. Okay, so it'll be 2 weeks before I know for certain I've got money coming in. Unless, of course, I end up, selling a book or 2 in the process of all of this. Or doing a consultation for somebody. At which point I'll end up generating income. The important factor here is I don't spend any more money unless I've got something coming in first. Now, this doesn't mean I have no money in the bank. I've got my money sitting there already, where it needs to be, i.e. my rent's already sitting there. It just hasn't come out yet. Okay, so all of that is dealt with. And once you've got that, then you get your list together and start working. Yes, I'm sitting here writing my own list. As I have mentioned before, the tools I offer you are the same ones that I personally use. Okay, and this is why I've gone from the mess I was in to now being able to redesign everything. And like I'm looking at this, the other thing I noticed, the shelves behind me, I'm going to do something about putting some sort of a organization to them so it looks a little better. But that's a cosmetic thing. Functionality, things are going nicely. Okay, don't forget when you're putting your list together, you still have a life, you still have other things to do. Don't forget to make time for your hobbies or for your socializing. It's just you have to stay on top of it. If you don't stay on top of it, okay, the reality behind it is people do not plan to fail. What it is they fail to plan. Okay, now I've mentioned before that there is, and I think that's what these are. No, that's a list of the books that I'm in the middle of writing. Those go there, and what do we got here? I think this is the notes I started. Yep, this is. This is the notes that I started. This is how writing begins for me. Took an idea, and just on a few sheets of paper, wrote down the ideas I was working with. This will end up turning itself, through effort on my part, will be turned into a book. Okay, and it's just one of the 30 I'm currently writing. Okay, so I mean, these, again, this is a case of making certain that you get things organized. In order to move forward, regardless of where you came from, it does not matter at all how you got to where you are. You can't change it anyway. Whether you had a horrendous childhood, whether you ended up making stupid choices as an adult, as a young adult, as an older teenager, whether you're a pauper or a multimillionaire, or whether you happen to be just basically wandering around going, what the heck am I doing? It does not matter how you got here. What matters is you're here now. Now, with the assistance of the people around you, and I mean, understand, there is an old saying that goes, no man is an island unto himself, which is very true. It takes the entire world working together to put this planet back on track. Okay, now, there are a lot of people that I've talked to that have said, oh, I'm a spiritual guide, I'm a business guide. Now, I won't tell you that I know exactly what I'm doing. I'll tell you what I am doing, and I'll let you know how it pans out. Okay, this does not mean I'm perfect. It does not mean I know all the tax breaks, all the tax loopholes. I don't care about the tax loopholes, and here's why. Do you like driving around on the road? Do you like having the ability to get from, to fly from one side of the country to the other? Okay. That requires things like runways, like traffic lights. Do you like your cell phones? That requires those satellites in the air so you can actually talk to each other. Okay. Taxes, if they're being handled right, and that's a big if, they supply the funding to make all of these things happen. Do you like your lawn, the lawns in your city or in your town? Do you like the park areas looking decent? Okay. All of that is funded through tax money. Now, yes, many people will tell you the taxes are not being handled properly. And I'll tell you the same thing, they aren't. But I'll also tell you that when you look first and foremost at your own finances, okay, ask yourself, are you doing everything possible with your personal finances, with your personal house, to make it work right? If the answer is yes, that is absolutely great. Now go out and start telling other people. I'm starting off at the ground level where I'm doing 3/4 of it wrong. But the way I see it is this. If I tell you what I'm doing wrong, or what I was trying that didn't work, okay, maybe, just maybe, you'll find a little kernel of truth in there that you'll be able to put to use and straighten your own life out. Okay. I'm looking at this and I've got 2 drawers missing. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I like this stuff behind me, is I'm looking forward trying to do this going, now, where the heck did those drawers go? Probably on that table behind me. I'm not 100% certain, but I'll have to find them. But these are things that I'm doing to straighten my world out. Okay, and the reality is, and I know this for an absolute certainty, okay, try it yourself. If you're really stressed out, do you get along with the people around you? Do you take things a little bit more readily? Or are you just completely wired and out of control? Okay, myself, if my stress level is low enough, I have a lot more energy to do what I desire to do. And I'm a whole lot more amicable and talkative with people, which I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm a recluse. Okay. But then it was because of you guys that I ended up actually starting to do these. See, told you I drink way too much coffee. That's the remainders. Mind you, that works out well because these things make beautiful containers to hold stuff in order, if you will. But when you figure out where you're going, first and foremost, that was really poor English. First and foremost, you have to have a purpose. Now, short-term purpose, very localized for your guys, for if you will, for your guys' benefit, is getting this office completely turned around. So it's completely rebuilt. The stuff I don't require, the junk stuff that I've got, will go out the window. Because my office right now is made of a lot of make-piece stuff. Okay. This shelf here, that's just a piece of wood on top of a stand. Okay. I will eventually get a stand that is actually on wheels that can sit there. And the reason for it is because, well, I might not. It depends on how much desk space I get. But it's convenient where it is. Okay, the purpose is simple. Pick the purpose. What are you aiming for? Once you figure that out, now you require a plan. Plan being, answer the 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why. The how is what the plan comes into how to solve it all. But the 5 W's will explain what the plan is, what the purpose is about. Then you start working through them. Okay. And remember, one step at a time. It's easy to get started, by the way. Taking the first step is child's play. The second step is almost reactionary. It's the third one that matters the most. Now, my first step in all of this transition was get debt free. Check, done. Then it was literally replace the stuff I required, such as my washer and dryer, my office furniture. Check, done. They're finished. I've got them. Now it's a case of get on track so that every month from here on out, my bank balances keep doing this while I have the chance to live, enjoy myself, and carry on. That's going to take a little while. However, I'm going to keep an eye on it, and over the next couple of months, we'll see where that goes. If I've done this right, if I've set everything in motion properly, then I'll be in good shape. Okay, that's just the way it sits for me. And we'll walk through this together, one step at a time. You'll see how things change on the different projects that we get started on. Okay, I really should have put this at the beginning, and probably will from here on out, or something to that effect. And that is, thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be a journey that if I do my journey right, you'll pick up some hint on it and go, okay, that can work for me. Let's see what we do with it. Okay. That said, give us a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel and follow through. Join us on this journey. It's going to be a heck of a ride. I know this. Okay, it's no longer an issue of going like this. A little bit of a jump up. Now we go down further. A little bit, couple of steps up and back down. No, I'm done with that. Fun run. Done with it. And fun, not really. But I was told when I was growing up, you had to have a plan in place by the time you were 20. Well, that one we clearly failed. But, okay, what I have found from the number of people I've talked to, the average person seems to be in their late 40s, early 50s by the time they figure it out. By the time they go, this is where I desire to be. Well, in a month and a half, I'm going to be 58. However, I am debt-free. I have everything I really require. I've got a few things I'd like to get, but I will put the money aside as I get it to make that happen. Okay. There's a couple of things I'm already expecting, so I will put the money aside to do what I desire in order to make that happen. But remember, it doesn't matter who you are. The one thing we all have in common, every single corporeal entity I know of has the same thing in common. They are the only one that can do anything to make themselves successful. Okay. No matter who you talk to, no matter who they talk to, the individual is a person that has to do the job. If you're going to be successful, you're going to have to do it. Now, the reality is most people that I've run into, they know they're not content with where they are, but they don't know how to change it. And so that's where we start. We start with what you don't like about where your life is. Okay, you figure that out. Now, I'll put it to you this way. At the bottom of the video, you'll see a list of books that I've already put in publication that can be ordered directly through me. It's the only place you can get them right now. But more importantly, there are a list of contact points where if you have a question, and it really doesn't matter what that question is. Okay, drop me a line. I'll be happy to give you some insight. Okay, the reality is I've been consulting with people in personal lives and business for, well, I'm 58, so 48 years now. Okay, well, in a couple of months, it'll be 48 years. Okay, that's what I do for a living. Now, I do have a regular job. So the reality is that I've been doing this a long time. Am I perfect? No. But as I'm sure you're aware of, if you've got kids, this is blatantly obvious. If you've got employees, you'll see it. Okay, you're not necessarily involved directly in the situation. It's easier to see the way around the problem. Okay, this is why I tell people, talk to people that have successfully done it. I was avoiding my phone call up until about 3 or 4 months ago. I was avoiding every phone call because I didn't want to deal with the creditors because I had no way of dealing with them. I could tell them I don't have the money, I want to pay it, but I don't have the money. Okay, and they'd want definite answers as to when I was going to make a payment. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that right now. Okay, except for the fact I know how much money I'm sitting on. Okay, I was at that point. I was at that point where the only reason I tended to get up was because I just don't sleep a lot. Okay, I've thought about the issue of it being coffee, but I don't think so. Okay, because I've been this way pretty much all my life, and I didn't drink coffee until I was in college. As a matter of fact, the only reason I took to drinking coffee in college was I didn't like the flavor of the water. The afterbite and the chlorine in the water at that time was just absolutely rude to me, which is why I drink what most people call weak coffee. Okay, but because it's as weak as it is, I don't have the diuretic problem. I don't have the hydration problem. I'm doing good on that end. And even these little things are getting less and less useful. At least unless I'm working on the computer. Okay, these are just the short term of how I got where I am. And of course, getting to doing the videos and getting to do these, I think somebody told me one day they're called a vlog. I don't know for certain. I'm not the most technologically advanced person on the planet. I'm also not the worst. But I know where my limits are. Okay, so it boils down to this. Figure out where you're standing, and you're the one that has to make the changes. If you're not content with the way your life is going, you're the only one that can change it. Now, prime example, if you're a smoker, and nothing against smokers by any stretch, everybody has their vices. Okay, if you're a smoker and a doctor says you've got to quit, well, unless you're ready to quit, it ain't going to matter. You're not going to. And even if he does, even if you go, yeah, I gotta quit, you're the only one that can stop. Okay, but I do have a way of solving that problem. I found a solution that has worked for hundreds of people to quit smoking, costs nothing, doesn't have withdrawal, okay, and you end up coming out the other end not requiring smoking, or more to the point, not desiring smoking. Okay, now I used to drink a 26er a night. I used to do more lines than I care to count, but because I quit counting at 6. So, but that was decades ago. I haven't touched the stuff in what, 87? So we're looking 30 years. Okay, it's been 30 years since I bothered touching anything. Heck, I barely touch medication. My doctor's not happy with me. But I will share this with you. I was because of the fact I'm almost 58, my doctor was very concerned. She wanted me tested for colon cancer. Well, good news. I got the letter in the mail. I don't have it. I already knew that, by the way. I just didn't have the paperwork that said the doctors now know it. Okay, but it came up clean. Health-wise, yeah, I have complications. I'm not in perfect health, working on it. But now that my stress around finances has been completely destroyed, now it's a question of just staying focused and doing what I know works, what I've seen works. Okay, budgets I never found a use for unless you've got a definitive, this is how much money comes in. if you're unfortunately on medical disability or on employment insurance or SSI, I think it's called in the States, and I don't have a clue what it's called anywhere else, if it even exists. If you got a definite paycheck coming in that is the same number all the time, then a budget works great. Otherwise, I find you have to work in one of two ways. Either track your finances, which is what I do, or set up a percentage base. When I get X number of dollars in, 1% goes here, 1% goes there, whatever it is. Usually you're looking at 20-25% sort of thing. I will be more than happy to walk you through that. That's why, like I said, when I talk about being a consultant, this does not mean I'm the best of the best. It means I found ways that work that have worked for other people. Okay, that's the important factor. Now, the nice little part about it from your end is that it is, I work with the situation at hand. How you got there, honestly, it doesn't matter how you got there because you're there now. I like the way it was put in Cannonball Run back in the 70s with Burt Reynolds and Sally Field, where he was driving where there was a chap, and I think it was actually Sylvester Stallone, but I might be wrong there. But he was the Italian driver. And he's sitting in the car, and he grabs hold of the mirror, and he goes, snap. What is behind me does not matter. And that's the way life is. However you got to where you are doesn't really make a lot of difference. Whether you are, now let's address the issue of the wealthy people. Whether you are wealthy because your parents started off with a lot of money and gave you a chunk, or whether you've worked hard to get there, doesn't matter. Where you are, what you've got now is what matters. And it doesn't matter what your bank account looks like. $5 is $5. Okay, you just have more of them. But this is why I say every single corporeal entity in existence is of the same worth. Not monetarily speaking, but they are all part of a much bigger thing. And that's why if we work together, we can take this world from where it is and we can turn it into a unified gold mine. I mean, everybody can be prosperous. I know this for an absolute certainty, as sure as I know I'm sitting here. And the reason I know it is because, well, frankly, I remember past lives. Okay, now, that said, I keep these down to the half-hour mark for a reason. Okay, I don't have the attention deficit for the attention span for it. No, that's not right. It's because I've got so much on the go, I've got to get things done. So, until tomorrow, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.